Welcome to the Seating and Selection Show for the 2023 Rudy's Real Texas Barbecue State Volleyball Championships. On this show, we will release the brackets for all classes and hear from some of the coaches. I know the Texaco Wolverines are out there watching. Melrose is meeting as a team and streaming the show as well. Hot Springs has a get-together. Shout out to the Tigers. Legacy Academy is anxiously awaiting. The Artesia Bulldogs are together and watching. St. Michael's is out there waiting to see what seed they get coming in. We could have some more shout outs on the show, so stay with us. But before we get to all that, we always like to remind everyone how the seeding and selection process works. The seeding process is not the NMAA sitting in a room randomly deciding who should be the number 1 seed, the 2 seed, etc., etc. It is not that. What it is a process that is all data driven. The following criteria is used to determine a team's seed. We look at finish in regular season district play, max preps rankings, overall record, wins against district champs regardless of class, member school input, that's the coach's input in their rankings, and any head-to-head matchups. The schools are compared to one another with each of those criteria points, and the seeding is determined like one big math problem. It's all based on the numbers and the data. In the event of a tie, among those criteria points, head-to-head will be used to break the tie. If there's no head-to-head competition or the head-to-head competition is tied, then max preps strength of schedule will be used to break the tie. There is no input given by NMAA staff. I will repeat that again so everybody hears it. No input by NMAA staff. It's all data driven based on those criteria points. Did you beat a district champ? Did you have a better record? Were you ranked higher? All of those things. There is no bias for or against any school or team. Now that you understand how it's done, let's get to it. Let's start this parade like Harold Hill and 76 trombones. For the kids, that's a Music Man reference. You clicked on this show to see the brackets, right? Well, let's get to it. We will start in Class 1A, and the number 1 team in that classification is a team that's been a fixture in the finals. Melrose. Melrose is the number 1 seed. Melrose has played in a final each of the last 9 seasons. Melrose middle, Chancey Elliott, tore her ACL in regular season and is out for the year, but other players have stepped up. They lost in the final last year, but just like we don't talk about Bruno, they don't talk about last year.
You know, this group's a completely different group. I think, we talked about a lot how there's just inherited pressure just from the success we've had over the last 10 years. And that's there. But we don't talk about last season. We just talk about, the game we're in or the week we're in and moving one step at a time.
The top 4 teams in the bracket get a bye, and they are Logan, Legacy Academy, and Gateway Christian. Gateway Christian is the defending state champ. They've been in the final each of the last 3 years. Logan last won it all in 2018 and 19. Legacy Academy has only been a member with the NMAA 5 years and reached the Final Four last year. They say they are ready to take the next step.
One of our mottos is one team, one dream. And so the process of becoming a champion, and I think they're starting to finally see fruit of that. We've had that motto for a few years now, and they're just working really hard. It's a really good group of girls, and they definitely want the blue. And so they're just putting forth everything on and off the court, and really just enjoying the process of being a champion. And just they come into practice every day, just ready to go, and they've been doing really well.
Let's take a look at the bracket. Fort Sumner House is in as an 8 and Mesilla Valley the 9. Springer's the 5 seed and will take on Alamo Navajo. Roy Mascaro is the 6 and will go up against Grady. Pine Hill is the 7 and they get Camado. This bracket requires a little explanation. There was a 3-way tie between Pine Hill, Fort Sumner House, and Mesilla Valley. Pine Hill won that 3-way tie and gets the 7 seed. The last slot went to Grady because Grady beat Elida and Grady beat Evangel Christian on criteria points. Grady is the 11 because Alamo Navajo has to get in as a district champ. On to Class 2A. The top seed goes to the only undefeated team in the state, the Cloudcroft Bears. Cloudcroft earned number 1. They haven't been beaten. They are led by Jaden Hughes and Kyla Aguilar. both powerful hitters. They last won it all in 2020, and they are excited and anxious for another shot.
They want that championship so bad. So we're very hopeful. We've watched a lot of film. We're ready to rock this court and ready to rock the state court too. So they're moving forward wanting to be successful. And I think there's some superpower in that.
The top 4 teams in the bracket get a bye, and they are Texaco, Tularosa, and Laguna Acoma. Tularosa played in the final in 2021. Laguna Acoma won it all the last 2 years. Texaco is a traditional powerhouse with 16 state titles, more than any other program. Texaco has 6 seniors on the roster. Adeline Autry is their middle hitter, and she's come up big. Each of their last 7 wins have all been sweeps.
I absolutely love how we're playing right now. We've been on it. We've been talking about having a championship mindset for like the last few weeks, where anytime we step on the floor for practice or for a game, we don't want to have any excuses. We just want to go out there and play, try to get every ball up in the air and play defense, because it is killer when the other team knows that they can't put a ball down against us. So we've had that championship mindset of no excuses, go out there and do what we know how to do, and we'll let the rest take care of itself.
Let's take a look at the bracket. Estancia is the 8 and Santa Rosa the 9. They match up. Hagerman is the 5 and will take on Rehoboth Christian, the 12. Escalante is the 6 seed and Tatum the 11. Manal is in as a 7 and Cuesta is the 10. Now, a little more explaining here. Loving had a quality body of work, but Jal and Loving were tied in district. Jal beat Loving in criteria points, so Jal would get in before Loving. Rehoboth Christian beats Jal and McCurdy in criteria points to get the last slot, leaving Jal and Loving on the outside looking in. Now, as I mentioned, Laguna Acoma is the 2-time defending state champ in this classification. Melanie Garcia took over as head coach at Laguna Acoma in season. Another state title would give the Hawks a three-peat.
They have the will for it. They do have that mindset, and they do have the ability to three-peat if they wanted to, but it would, and I said, I go, you know what, you guys call it a three-peat, but no, I go, you're your own, this is your state tournament. You're not, you don't have, we have one senior that was part of the 2 state championship teams, one senior. And so I go, she's the only one that can say she has a three-peat if we make it that far. I go, just, you got to take it one game at a time from here, guys. I go, don't take the whole pie and think you're going to be able to finish it. You got to take it one bite at a time.
Moving on to Class 3A, and the number 1 team is St. Michael's. St. Michael's is the defending state champ. They've played in the final each of the last 2 years. They only lost 2 seniors from last year's title team. They have 6 seniors on this roster, so they come in with experience and come into the tourney with the number 1 ranking.
Sometimes it's a big target on your back walking in with that number 1 seed, but we try really hard to remain humble and like I said, just take every single game at a time, because you never know. You never know. You can have a bad day. The good thing about the state tournament is that if you do lose, in the first 2 rounds, you do get the opportunity to work your way back up. And at the same time, if you keep winning, you try to do figure out the bracket. Who would we play this time? But with this type of selection, you never know who you're going to play because of that double elimination bracket. So, we're just going to focus on playing our best every single day. On Thursday, 1 game, Friday, 1 game, and take each day at a time.
The top 4 teams in the bracket get a bye, and they are Hot Springs, Santa Fe Indian School, and Sandia Prep. The Sun Devils won it all in 2020. Looking at Santa Fe Indian School's resume, they beat defending state champ Laguna Acoma earlier this year. Hot Springs has a veteran squad with 6 seniors, including Ava Harrelson, Big Red. Unfortunately, she had emergency surgery during last year's state tournament, and she is a force to be reckoned with. They are ready to make a run.
Last year, I was really thinking, man, this is the team. This is the team that we're going to be able to get to that championship game. And who knows what would have happened if we would have had Big Red Ava healthy and with us last year. And I thought, oh, gosh, losing our senior setter last year and one of our pretty dominant outside hitters, I thought, oh, gosh, this year's is not going to be it. And then we have just been really moving puzzle pieces around and playing chess with our team. And yeah, I think we have a really good chance to see championship Saturday.
Let's take a look at the bracket. West Las Vegas is the 8, Tohatchee the 9, Tucumcari is in as a 5 and gets Ruidoso the 12. Cottonwood Classical is invited into the field as a 6 and will face Navo Prep the 11. Robertson is the 7 and will take on Cobre the 10. Robertson reached the final each of the last 2 years. Class 4A is up next. The top seed goes down to the dog down south, Artesia. Congratulations to the Artesia Bulldogs, the number 1 seed. Artesia won it all in 2021. They have 2 players on this year's squad from that title team, but this program learned a thing or two from that championship run.
Last year, we had nearly the same team coming back, and we didn't play well at state, and in fact, we played pretty bad. So I asked the seniors when we got home, what the deal was, and they told us that the previous year they were the 7th seed, and I had COVID, and they said they talked about how they just wanted to go there and have fun. They didn't expect much, and I think they played that away. And that was part of the reason they had success, is they just didn't have any pressure, and then last year they felt like they were the defending champions, and so they had to prove something or whatever. So I think they came in with a lot of pressure, and I think that caused problems for them. So we really haven't talked about any of that because it's pretty much a new group, but just learn some lessons from that.
The top 4 teams in the bracket get a bye, and they are Goddard, St. Pius, and Albuquerque Academy, all 4 power programs. Goddard won it all last season, beating St. Pius in the final, and the Chargers took home the title in 2020. Let's take a look at the bracket. Get your cameras out for the photo, maybe that video clip you want to post when you see your school. Here it is. Miyamura is the 8 seed, and Santa Teresa the 9. Los Alamos is the 5, and Silver is the 12. Hope Christian comes in as a 6 seed against Valencia, the 11. Portales is your 7, and Gallup gets the 10. Last but not least is Class 5A. The top team heading into the postseason is none other than the Las Cruces Bulldogs. Las Cruces is 22-1 overall. They have arguably the most dominant player in the state in Addison Massey. Las Cruces hasn't lost to a New Mexico school this season. In fact, they've only lost 1 set since August 26th. All of their wins but 1 were a sweep. Las Cruces has wins against La Cueva and Cibola this season.
I don't think our kids were necessarily surprised by the way that we played against those top teams, but I think there's some affirmation there that, yes, we are one of the better teams in the state. And, this is, 1 week to see how we do. And there's a bit of luck in this. I think you have to be fortunate to win a state championship. And it's been a while for Las Cruces High.
So how do you feel about your chances this year?
I think we're playing good volleyball. I think there are usually, in most sports, maybe 4 or 5 teams that could win a state championship. And I think as coaches, we know sometimes, hey, we're going to state, but our chances aren't great. I think this year, I like our chances. I like the fact that we've been consistent. We're playing well. And, I think we're going to come up there with the attitude that this is achievable. This is something that we can do.
The top 4 teams in the bracket get a bye, and they are La Cueva, Cibola, and Los Lunas. Congratulations to all of them. La Cueva watching the show. Shout out to the Bears. La Cueva is the 2-time defending state champ. Cibola is the 3. Cibola's Ella Parker recently signed to play at St. John's, and Los Lunas won a state title in 2018. Let's get to the final bracket. Santa Fe, you are the 8. Albuquerque High is 9. You will face off. Cleveland comes in as a 5 seed. Cleveland's Marion Hatch is going to play for UNM. The Storm also have junior Kelsey Hefner in the middle. They will go up against Hobbs, the 12. El Dorado comes in as the 6 and will take on Oregon Mountain, the 11. Volcano Vista is the 7. And Rio Rancho, the 10. Now, a little explaining here. Roswell and Hobbs were tied. Roswell beat Hobbs in criteria points, but Hobbs was a district champ, so Hobbs is in. Then there was a three-way tie between Rio Rancho, Roswell, and Oregon Mountain. Rio Rancho came out on top of that three-way tie, so they're the 10. Then when you compare Roswell and Oregon Mountain, the Knights came out on top, comparing those two on criteria points. So Oregon Mountain is in as the 11. There you have it, all the brackets and the teams for this postseason. Remember that if you can't be there in person, you can watch the state championship games this fall on the NFHS network. So get a subscription and log on so you can watch the championship matchups. Don't forget, we will have matches at 4 different sites this year: the Rio Rancho Event Center, Rio Rancho High School, Cleveland High School, and Bernalillo High School. The matchups, the times, and the locations can be found on our website. That's going to do it for the 2023 Rudys Real Texas Barbecue State Volleyball Championships Seeding and Selection Show. Good luck to all the teams involved, and remember to compete with class.